Problems were when you get into Tel Aviv and you take a bus from Tel Aviv, the driver says, "Where are you going?" Because the fare was different if you were going to a short place or to a different place. This was done. This wasn't Eget. And I said, "I'm going to the last stop." I didn't know where the hell the bus was going. I just got on the bus. Didn't matter what the bus was. I just wanted to look out the window. You know, and I'm not a kid. I'm already a father and the teacher and stuff. And I say, "I'm going to the last stop." He says, "Well, where are you going?" See, he knew something I didn't know. He knew where the last stop was. I said, "I told you I'm going to the last stop. Charge me for the last stop." He says, "But where are you going?" And this kept going back and forth. Finally, I said, "Listen, I don't know where the hell I'm going. I just want to go to the last stop." You know, okay. So he takes me out to this last stop, which was on some beach out in the middle of nowhere. At night, it was probably a good stop to go to, but I didn't know about that yet. But this place, finally I get to the beach. He says, "This is the last stop," and there's nobody left on the bus, and you don't know why anyone would have this as the last stop. I had no idea. And I asked him, I said, "Where's the bus going back?" That did it. He says, "He got out of there as fast as he could, you know." I had to learn how to deal with that. But for me, a day's work, and I lived up near Haifa at the time, was getting in the bus from Kiryat Tivon, going up to Haifa, photographing all the way on one side of the bus, on the right side of the bus, because that's where you get you don't get the traffic and everything, you just get all the things that are on the side. Get to Haifa, get downtown. Now I take the bus up to the top of the Carmel, then I turn around, take the bus back down. Then back down there, I go home. That's a day's work. About 20 rolls of film or something like that. That's how Gary Winogrand and Friedlander used to evaluate a day's work by, did they finish all their pockets worth of 35 millimeter film? And then I would have stuff to develop and print, and it was this exciting thing. It was a wonderful project of discovery, of learning. And then afterwards, with all those different wonderful blurs that I was seeing, I said, I need more. I want more. I want to control these blurs. And I was very limited with that one click of a camera. And I knew from theory that there was another camera out there that could do even more things than that. And that was the Widelux, which is a panoramic camera that scans. I think goes around and scans a picture. The lens is on a turret. It spins around and it photographs you. If it's got a slow enough shutter speed, it takes almost 2 seconds to go from left to right. And when I was talking about this at the exhibit in the museum, all these photographers wanted to, "How did you do it? How did you do it?" It wasn't a question of how to do it, it was why to do it, but they want to know how to do it. And I'm up there talking to the group of people. I said, "You want to know how to do it? I'll show you." And they're all listening intently. And I show them the camera and I say, "Watch the lens." And it starts to photograph half of them. And then I flip the camera upside down and the thing starts going backwards. So the picture is basically all these people looking at me very seriously. And one half, and then in the middle there's a spin, and the rest of them, everybody's upside down. Because it's got both. But that gave me an option of a new way of seeing, and of seeing things that you could never possibly see. So I had wonderful parents. I said, "Mom and Dad, you know, I really need this camera. Would you buy it for me?" It was like the price of a Nikon F, which was a lot of money for me. And they bought it. You know, they didn't ask questions. They always, this wonderful support, anything I needed. So I get this Widelux. I never saw it before in my life. I never knew how to use it or what. And I go out and I start with it. And I know I'm going to have this great learning process. And these are some of the images that impressed me. There's more in the other room for you to see, but two in particular. This one was first, because I went out for a period of time and just experimented with the camera. I said, I know blurs. I've been doing them for 2 years. Constantly, and what else can I do? And I went out and played with this camera. And one of the amazing things that I realized in this picture, which I don't like at all, was that I could photograph a bus that was coming. It's there in front of you, and it passed you, all in the same picture. And this is it, you know. It's a crazy kind of bus in this picture, but you see the people inside there and the driver, and the bus is just finished coming towards you, it's leaving, and the rest of it's still coming, and it was a crazy kind of a thing. Wow, this is bringing me into a different world. This isn't the world that I'm used to seeing. It's something you can't possibly see. And I'm learning. At this pace, I couldn't really focus on very much else in life other than trying to figure out what's going on with this camera. And then I come across something like this. I'm in the park with my daughter. She's now married with about 17 children. This sweet little girl. And 17, 18, 20, I can't keep track of it. She's like a rubber, like a rabbit. And here you go. But this photograph took me to a different place. This was no longer about what the camera can do. It was about the result. There's something going on here that's bringing you into a different world. Will you guys stop laughing in the back there? I can't, I look at a photograph like this and I say, this is a world of imagination. This isn't real. You can go into something here which is already it's going to touch something inside of you. It's something else. It's not about how else you can physically see, like what the camera can do. It's about something that can happen in your mind with this camera. That it can touch areas of your imagination that you've never seen before in a photograph. And that's where I took it. And I started experimenting with my children. They're the greatest things to experiment with. We all do that. They were great models. They were free. You say, go over there, they go over there. You're the father, you got to take them home. So you got to play with your kids, and you take them to these places, and you say, run here, run there, play on this, play on that. And things started to develop that there was something emotional that you could see that had to do with some kind of inner world that was not at all what the outer world looked like. You couldn't possibly see these things. The camera could see it. And then I started to go to a place that I knew about, where the Bezalel Academy had taken space. They didn't rent it because it was in ruins. This is a place that's right near the Schneller's army base. Schneller's is still there, but the incredible factory that the Templars built in 100 years ago. And they were living in that compound of Schneller's, and they ran away when the British came in, because the British and the Germans weren't so friendly towards each other at that time. And they just left. And they left this factory intact with bricks that were ready to be fired. And it was this incredibly amazing technological thing. They had these little train kind of things that would move around on rollers, and they had hoists that would bring these little cars or the contents up to the second floor where they would be making the bricks. It was an amazing place, and it was a ruins. Hanan Laskin, who was head of the department, introduced me to it because ceramics was using their kilns that they had there that were destroyed, and it was a wonderful place to teach ceramics. And Bezalel was already spread all over the city because they didn't have any room. And since I knew about this place, I said, I'm going to take my son there and play around there and see what happens there, because it was this incredible place. So it started out with images like this. Images like this. He's in three different parts of this picture. Here's the portrait. Here's his shadow with his legs, with his body. And here's another shadow of him in the same picture. This is a very simple picture. And this was very much in the beginning of the series. The pictures got more and more complicated as I learned and learned about this. Pass them around, please. And one of my favorites in the whole series is one that does not have too much of the technique involved, but this one. This one. It's something that touches my heart every time I look at it. It's this idea that you as a father, as much as you would like to promise your child everything, you don't know that, and we know that here. And this was the beginning of the understanding that in this series of work, I was going back to a different place. And it's a place that we were at about 70 years ago, 80 years ago. And the Holocaust that every one of us carries in a little bag next to him was coming out in these feelings of even coming to live in Israel. You have no idea what you can promise your child. You can't promise your child anything. You can just hope. The child doesn't know that. You know that. And that was coming out strongly in this work. At the exhibit, what one of the people told me, one of the women who was at the show, comes over to me afterwards and tells me, "You have succeeded in photographing my worst nightmares." To which I answered, "Thank you." Because that was the best compliment that I could have gotten. The idea that you can, that here you've got a child who's looking at you with the utmost trust and faith, and around him everything is falling apart. And you see it. He doesn't know it, and he's trusting in you, and you can't explain this to him because he's a very, very young child. He's 4 years old. He's 5 years old. He's 6 years old. And when he's 7 years old or 6 years old, there's already another child that in the last pictures of the series are going to come in, where he is going to be leading his younger brother, who also